Welcome back to another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. We are your hosts, Kolleen.
And I'm Marjorie. Tonight we will be reviewing God of Malice by New York Times and USA Today bestselling author Rina. This book was picked up by Bloom Books last year. It is a dark and steamy college romance. Before we start discussing the book, I want to remind everyone to please check the author's trigger warnings, especially if you were going to read the ebook. The physical copy does not include the original first 2 chapters if you bought the Bloom Books edition.
Right.
Okay. So, what was your rating on this one? I don't think we should do the spice. I don't remember spice much about the spice.
So of the 3 I've read so far, this is my least favorite. Like almost 4 stars, and I think I'm being generous. Like 3.75 stars.
Oh, I'm biased. Majority of my Rina Kent books are 5 stars, so
yeah,
I'm very biased when it comes to Rina Kent because I love her. But I think also too, this is a good start for a series. Like it prep you for how dark they're gonna get without, I guess, as far as my dark meter.
You think so?
It's not as
the first
dark
2 chapters were pretty dark.
Okay, so the first 2 chapters were pretty dark, but after the first 2 chapters, it's kind of like mellows out. So
yeah,
I mean, there's still kind of dark parts over there, but it's not as bad as the first 2 chapters because that's pretty much like their introduction to each other.
Yeah,
like, they didn't know each other. Well, technically, he did. No,
yeah. Maybe because now you and I know, and we're going to talk about this in a little bit, but there are people who chose to go into these books and reading them instead of the first generation. So I feel like maybe Rina, and I could be totally wrong, had to compensate for that and give a little bit more information where you and I wouldn't have needed it. And that's why I think it might have, I hate to say it, and don't come after me, people, but it was a little bit boring for a while. Like it was a struggle for me to get through some of it. Because
I would say, yeah, after I think close to 40 to 50%, that's when it actually picked up.
Yes.
Because for both characters, especially with their inner monologue, it was pretty much talking about their past, their parents, which makes sense if you do, like, they are standalone, but I feel like if you want to understand, once you get into the children's inner monologue, you should have read the parents because then you can, like, get their personality or, like, what they went through and why the way they are with their children. I like that we get the parent chapters, like the point of view of the parent. But that's like 1 or 2 chapters. You won't really know the parent story from 1-2 chapters. Like the both parents. Like someone told me that they're like, oh, I understood. It's like, no, you didn't. But whatever. You didn't.
Yeah.
Majority of like the people that I've seen were, if they started with Legacy of God series and they started with God of Malice, they actually go back and read the parents because they're curious of like what the parents went through and stuff like that. But I followed the reading order, even though for the longest time I wanted to like start with Legacy of Gods, but I was like, no, if they're second generation, I want to know the parents. So I was like, took about a year and a half, close to 2 years before I finish, and that's fine because I was like, I actually like the parents because I felt like they were darker than the kids.
Yes, I agree with that. And
like, you're bully, like when you say bully romance, them parents or like, I feel like the second generations almost kind of are like watered down because of the mothers, you know.
Yeah, that would make sense. Like I can see that. I
mean, they're still psychotic. Like the MMCs are still psychotic, but I feel like they're kind of like watered down version because the parents kind of, you know, them in a little bit.
Yeah, and I had thought that we were going to get that same level of darkness when I first started. Again, for those first 2 chapters, I thought that say that Killian is not dark. He's a piece of work. But I can agree with that assessment for sure. That the first generation was definitely darker.
Yeah. Because I mean, like, if you put Killian and Asher side by side, Asher did a lot of things to Rina in that duet before he was like, finally, like, okay, fine, whatever, it's not your fault. Like, what? Like, I actually love you, but I'm just like being a dick.
Yeah.
But also it's because of my assumptions and stuff like this. I was like blaming you for something you didn't do. And then also, like, Rina is very much like, I'm not a pushover. Like, I'm not just going to sit here and take it. I'm going to give it back. So it was like a back and forth thing. And here, I'm not saying Glyndon is like a doormat, but she was very more introverted, like with her feelings. And like, even though it's like, I want to fight, kill, it was more like, I'm just going to avoid him because I don't want to do confrontation.
And I think the first generation was definitely more, like you were saying, was bully. With this, so far in the 3 that I've read, it's more of a possessive mind. Not really any bully. Not to say that these women were treated fairly, but they weren't necessarily bullied. You didn't really feel the hate per se.
Right. Yeah. It's more of like, oh, now you're in my sights. I'm obsessed with you. You can't shake me off. I'm pretty much like,
right.
It's more like a stalker.
Yes.
Like, they're more like stalker because like they're everywhere. And then, or like they'll be texting us like, I see you kind of thing. Like, obviously not like saying, I see you, I know what the fuck you're doing kind of thing. Like, because they're like stalking them. And also, I think with Glenn, she's trying to avoid putting Killian on Landon's sites so that Landon doesn't go off and do his own thing with his chaotic self, but like Landon knows everything for some reason.
Yeah, it's like an instant rivalry, like not really Romeo and Juliet, but in a sense where it's like opposite families, like opposite side of the campus, because they're 2 different colleges on this one island. So that's what I've seen so far. There's nobody that, and I don't know if it changes, you would know, within the relationships that's within its inner circle. There might be one. I take that back. If I'm assuming correcly.
Oh, yeah, the last one. Yeah, the last one is
okay. All right.
It's within theirs.
What was I know it's tough for you with FMCs. What were your thoughts on Glyndon?
I actually loved her. Like,
okay.
I mean, I felt bad that like she feels like Cecily and Ava were her best friends, but Cecily and Ava have their own like inner circle, and she's almost just like, and I think that's why she was fine being, with Killian all the time. Like, her time was like with Killian or Brandon because she's close. She feels like they're her best friends, but they have their own little world.
Yeah.
And then Annika's like, hangs out more with Ava because they're, they're the same. And so I think like Glyndon, she gets along more with Nico and Caden. Like, during that, like when she's always at the Heathen's house.
Right.
It's just like around Nico and Caden all the time. So like she hangs out more with them compared to the other girls.
That's true. I did feel that. Like, yes, they all grew up together, but you're right. Like, I felt like even with Annika, however you say it, it was always like Glyndon was, I don't want to say an afterthought, but like kind of outside the circle. And I think it's a personality thing. I think it was, in my opinion,
so quiet.
And she was depressed. She thought she had this best friend.
Right, that died. Or, like, he committed suicide, and it was like he was the last person he told her. So she was depressed. So, and she's more like she internalized everything, and she tells everybody it's like, oh, it's fine, but it's not. Like she keeps to herself because she doesn't like to make waves.
Yeah. I think it's just her personality. Yeah. Now, also, she kind of feels a disconnect at home, not with her grandfather, but I mean, like within her siblings and her mothers. It's like, oh, well, they're better artists than me. I'm just kind of whatever. I'm not as good as them. I'll never be. It's just like this.
Well, then there's that teacher who was an asshole.
Yeah.
Like, don't compare her. I mean, I get it. Like, she won't be able to, like, really, it's can't be helped that she will be compared to her mom and her older siblings. But whatever that teacher said, it's fucking fucked up. Like, you don't say that, like, pretty much saying it's like, you're not going to amount to, like, your parent, like, your mom. Like, come on.
Instead of recognizing that she had a different style of art.
Right. Like, don't expect her to, like, copy Astrid or Bran or Lan. Like, she has her own thing, you know?
Just happy that at least she had Bran. You know what I mean? Like, at least they had a closeness.
Yeah. And I think, okay, this is my thing. Like, once you read Landon, you will see how he was with Glenn when they were growing up. So, I mean, it's hard to, like, tell, like, all the stuff here because it's just on Glendon's point of view. Like, she avoids Lan because it's not like she doesn't hate him. She's not scared of him. She's just more like, to her, it's like he's very chaotic and he likes to stir up trouble. And she's just like, no, I don't want any issues. I don't want conflict. She doesn't like conflict. And I think that's why she was like, kind of like would go along with Killian, like trying to bide her time, but will like fight him anyway.
Yeah.
But like she's still assertive, but she just bides her time. Like she'll like do it like on certain moments where Killian's like, fucking hell, like again, like he's almost like he thinks that like she got her on a leash, but then she'll like do something like nah, like neener kind of thing. So I mean, I kind of enjoy their relationship. I mean, granted, it didn't start out like a regular relationship.
Sure didn't.
Thoughts on Killian?
I like him. I always like the dark bad boy type. I found it difficult, and this just might be a me thing because I'm very aware of my emotions. So I had to remember this is a person who doesn't have the emotions that normal, and I use it in quotes, normal people do. I liked him, though. I liked that he was able to then have his version of love with Glendon. Yeah. So it was nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's honest, though. Like,
right.
He was very upfront, like, I fake that shit. Like, I fake all the emotions. Just trying to go through the motions and stuff. But, like, he knows he has enough control. Like, I think people, like, the people around him, they don't think that he has enough control. But when he does talk to Glendon, he has a lot of self-control. Yeah. Like, he wanted to kill that guy. Was it Devlin, whatever his name is.
Yes, Devlin.
But he didn't. Like, sure, he beat the crap out of him, but because even with his conversation with Glenn was like, well, how come you didn't kill him? Kind of thing, you know? And he was just like, what? Because I knew if I go to that point, I will never stop until I'm caught. So I actually
very self-aware.
I commend him for like his self-restraint. Like, like even though I want to, I'm not going to. Because for him, it's like, oh, if I get caught, then I won't be around Glendon anymore.
Yeah.
But he's been like, I mean, growing up, he knew. Like, he was self-aware, especially when he became a teenager, that there's just that one step, and then he won't be stopped, you know?
Right.
Like,
and he became the master of disguise. Like, I'm just going to have to show these feelings, even though I don't feel them. These emotions, I should say.
Yeah.
And like we were talking about earlier, he had to always think that he was unwanted in a sense because he overhears his dad basically saying, you know, we kind of just saying that we wish we didn't have, that he didn't have him.
Yeah.
And that he always had this resentment, if that's what we want to call it, towards his brother because he was the golden child.
Yeah. But in his defense, he was like, how old when he heard that? He was 6, I think.
6 or
Yes,
7.
he's 6. He's young, but he was very self-aware of like that he
Yeah.
wasn't normal because when they first, when he first showed that animal to Rina, he saw the reaction of Rina, and I think one of my favorite scenes were when they were all in New York and Asher finally talked to Kill about it. And when,
Yeah.
once Kill pretty much said something and Asher's like, you didn't hear the whole conversation. Like he was just kind of scared because he did have a sister that was like him. And I think that's the
Yeah.
one thing that I like when I would hear people like, oh, I hate Asher for saying that, thinking to myself, I was like, did they ever read Asher and Reina's story? Because they would have known why he said that. Like, is it right? No, but I'm sure he didn't know that Kill was listening and he was just like saying his frustration to Reina,
And I'm not going to lie, and I might get hate for this, but there's been times in the heat of a moment, pure frustration, I've said to my husband, why did we have kids again?
Like, it's like, well, yeah. And then, and of course, it's like when they figure out how Killian is, that's a scary thing for a parent. Like, look at it from a parent's perspective. You can only like control him,
right?
Put his, energy to something else before it's out of your control. Because at the end of the day, as he gets older, he's gonna have those impulses, and if you're not gonna be with him or her 24/7, something's gonna happen. Like it's gonna snap.
Yeah,
just waiting for
call.
Yeah, you're just waiting for that. And so when people kind of like hate on Asher, it's like I think you should read. I feel like people should read Asher and Reina's story, and they will figure out why he was scared. And I think that comes from like being scared that like, oh, it's gonna be the sister all over again, kind of thing, because the sister was fucked up. Like, considering both of them loved her, and then they found out that she was just like, I'm just kidding, I'm just using you guys, like just being manipulative little bitch over here until I die, even
Yeah, gosh, that was a tough read.
Can you imagine like the trauma from Asher, like finding out that tape, like all of that, considering what he put Reina through, high school and college, and they're supposed to be in love with each other, but because with him, like he thought that it was Reina's fault,
right?
Come to find out, it's the sisters. It's all the sisters' manipulation. Like that trauma would stick with him. So
yeah.
So I don't think that it's fair, the hate that Asher as a parent gets for that.
Oh yeah, I didn't get that vibe. And
for specific moment. Yes, I feel bad. Like when I read it, like I felt bad for Killian. But then as you read the story and then you get to Asher's point of view and he explains, because the kids never met the sister.
Yeah.
They never talked about the sister. Like they didn't know anything about the sister until that point. They're like, and then Asher started repairing it's going to take a while, but also Killian doesn't give a shit.
True.
It's like he loves his mom, but it's not like he can show. He's just like, I just know that I don't like her being sad or anything.
No, he's got only those feelings for Glyndon.
It's just all Glyndon. It's like, yes, he cares about his mom, but like that's why he would have to force himself to call her, to talk to her, just so that she's not worried. Could he care less? No. He's just like,
I know.
whatever.
It was just socially acceptable because that's what he'd been doing.
Mm-hmm. But in reality, he wasn't like thinking of like, oh, I should be calling her. Oh, I shouldn't be making her cry.
Yeah. Oh, I miss my mom. Let me give her a call.
No, he didn't give a shit. Like majority of the time, he will talk to Reina because Caden's already talking to her, and Caden will just be like, hey, here's the phone. Like, mom wants to talk to you. It's like, oh shit, yeah, I forgot to call her. Like, like he didn't care. So to him, like, even repairing his relationship with Asher, he didn't give a shit. Asher is different because, even if he doesn't agree with how Kill is, he still loves him because that's his child. He's still going to be protective over him, whether he agrees or not, What was your favorite scene?
I feel bad for the people that didn't get to read the first 2 chapters, but that's what like drew me in. I was like, no, he's not. No, he's not going to do that. Yeah, he did it.
I know, right?
Shoved it all the way in.
The fact that she's dangling from the fucking cliff. Like, it's either you're going to jump off the cliff or you're just going to take it.
It was so intense. And I like to read that because I'm like, oh God, this could. Now, I knew he wasn't going to drop her. But in my head, I'm like, what is she going to have to do?
Those first 2 chapters were only on Glenn's point of view. So you didn't even think about, you didn't see what he was thinking. He told her, like,
and the pictures, like, it was just...
And while she's doing that, he was, like, taking pictures, and she's dangling, like, she's about to, like, fall off the cliff.
But and then, if we're going to go to the emotional side of things, I liked when they were in New York, and everything kind of came to a head. Like, that's when I was like, all that needed to happen for resolution to happen with his brother, with his dad, so... For an emotional type positive scene, that would have been it.
Yeah, I love that too. Like, especially when they did the group hug. All of the guys, except for Rina, all of them was like, are we really fucking doing this shit? Like, well, Rina says, do it. We're doing it. Yeah. That I also love when he followed Glenn and he showed up at Levi and Astrid's place, and Levi's like, are you fucking shitting me? Like, this little shit. Yeah. And he can kind of tell like how he is, because he is the same way as Lan, but he couldn't do anything because Astrid loves him, and he's just like sitting there like, really, I can't fucking kill this little shit. And he knows too, and Killian was like always baiting.
Oh yeah.
Kind of like same thing when Glenn found Killian in the basement of the Elite's house because of Landon. Like, he was goading Landon, and then he timed it perfectly. Like, oh, Glenn is here, I'm gonna fake it. Like, like, because then, like, just to see, because like Glenn got pissed at Landon, and Killian was like, you're out of the picture for now. Like, I have all her to myself. It's like, oh my God, like. And Lan even saw that. Like,
you son of a bitch.
Yeah, it's like, like, you're just like, yeah. And then Glenn was pissed. Brandon, same thing. We're kind of like pissed at him, and he was just like, oh, I'm gonna get you. Eventually, I'm gonna get you.
That was funny.
How about like he gets one of the funniest things was like when Caden and Glenn kind of like kissed. And Killian saw that at the Heaton's mansion. And Killian's like, I don't care if you're my brother. You're gonna fucking die. Like,
yeah.
Like, I know. That's the thing. He's like, that's how possessive he is. Like, and that's how he doesn't have the fucking patience for other people. Like, she's mine.
Like, yeah, don't touch what's mine. And
considering that's his brother.
I know. Well, he did it. And I was worried about Caden there for a minute because I'm like, oh God, is he... I could figure out at first if he really wanted them together or this was a test to show you, look, no one will ever love you and ever want to be with you. So I was like, I don't know where this is going to go. And I was happy that it was because she made him better.
And she does, like, even if it's just for her, like, again, it's like he has that self-control, like, oh, I can't do this because then Glenn's going to get pissed and then I'm going to lose her. Oh, I can't, I have to let her be with her friends. Otherwise, she's going to, like, even though he doesn't want to, like, he wants Glenn to be with him 24/7. considering he's a pre-med student, a med student, it's like,
Yeah.
dude, you're fucking busy.
That seems to be the trend with all these guys so far.
Right. Oh,
It
yeah,
just, or even the first generation. It's like once they all just want to be together 24/7. I know I don't want to be with my husband 24/7, but
well, but like, perfect example. Remember Aiden and Elsa?
yes.
Like, Elsa had Zan as her first boyfriend, like quote unquote first boyfriend, first kiss.
Oh yeah.
Aiden's like motherfucker, and then he got engaged to Ronan, and they all go to him like, "Oh, I'm her first fiance," and he's like, "Motherfucker, shut the fuck up!" Like,
Yeah.
Aiden gets like, "Oh, like." I mean, if you read Royal Elite, the epilogue, remember Aiden hated Eli. Like, he was so jealous with Eli, like, because Eli's taking up her time. Like, saying that Elsa's cheating on me with fucking Eli. Are you kidding me? That's like, and everybody's like, that's your child. I don't fucking care. The little shit knows what he's doing. Because remember, Eli will make faces like, I got mom. Like, they're fucking little shits. Like, all of them. But yeah, I do, like, I love how possessive Kill is, but at the same time, he saw her for who she is and let her flourish. Like, you know, with all her insecurities and stuff. Like, he's the one who pretty much opened Astrid's eyes, kind of like, oh, there's something else going on with Glenn.
Right. Yeah. And he also does for her, like when she wants to go hang out with her friends, he just will suck it up and let's go. You know,
do I want to hang out with these people? Nope.
Nope. But he shows his humanity that way. Like, he shows his care.
How about, like, he got the professor fired because
I saw that come.
He hurt Glenn's feelings about her art. Like considering like them saying like, oh, he can't love. I'm like, if that's not love, I don't know what else love is. It's like, and the professor even did this before they even met. Like, you know, about her art, like before they even met.
Yeah.
Yet he still got him fired. And he doesn't even go there.
She was like, why is this professor now saying
like
nice things about it? Like,
right. Yeah. Well, and the fact is, he doesn't even go to that school.
I know. He goes
to the other school, the rival school. And he always says like, oh, I don't really need to go to class because I already knew everything. Like, you know, he's smart. He's genius. It's like, I only go just for appearance's sake, but I'm already ahead. So that's why he's like, he can like stalk her everywhere. Because she was wondering, is like, aren't you a med student? Like, why do you have time to follow me around?
Yeah. I wondered that too. When do kids go to class?
I mean, okay, so the girls goes to class. This fucking guys, it's like, what is going on? And yet they're like acing all of their fucking class. Like, no issue. I was like, I mean, even like Creighton likes to fucking sleep.
I know, Sleeping Beauty.
Right. And I think that's why it works for Creighton and Annika. Because Creighton's just like, I'm just gonna chill here. She can like yap all he wants. But he would like be able to shut her up in one word. Like his monosyllable syllabic, what do you call that? Response.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, I mean, like you said, there was a certain portion, and I think I do agree with you where she had to explain kind of like the background, both of their backgrounds for people who've never read the first gen.
Yeah. And that would be my dislikes about the book. The story was there. The writing, I mean, is always phenomenal. I have nibbled in one of her books and I was like, oh my God, come on.
Yeah, I think that's what I was wondering. I was like, why are these books thicker than the other books? And now, like, reading into it, I was like, oh, I feel like so that people don't have to read all the other books. It's kind of like not basically going in the past, but it's like explaining who the parents are, so we're not all or not we, but like the rest of the people are not confused.
Yeah.
Because I think there was only like probably 2 couples that I probably didn't like. I wouldn't say their stories were bad, but it's just like they were 4 stars for me. But that's because there was not a lot of bully-ish, like dark type. Like the men are still possessive, there's still age gap. But I was just like, like they're not super dark. Where like they're killing people.
Yeah, I'm like 3 in, so
Killian hasn't killed anybody, even though people like to assume he killed somebody. He hasn't. He would beat the crap out of people.
Some ass, but
but like he never took that step, especially after he met Glenn. He killed animals. He and he said that. Like, I was curious what it would look inside. I'm like, what the?
Oh, well, that explains med school.
And I think that's why he was like saying, I went to med school, so there's the urge, but it's, because he's going for surgery. So he's still cutting. He's just not killing somebody. But it kind of satiate his need, like his impulse for that.
Yeah, and I think he said it was starting not to be enough, but that's when Glyndon comes in, and then she calms him in that aspect. But I want to say one of the things I did really enjoy was the little sprinkle of the other woman drama. I always loved that shit.
What's the other woman?
Much. The remember after they what was her name? It was Devlin's sister.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he really didn't reciprocate. He just used her, but
yeah, and he was like, even like, he loved it when he put her in place. Yes. Like, look, I don't fucking care if you're a girl, but if you're mean to my Glyndon, I'll motherfucking kill you.
But I like when authors do that, like they put in that other woman drama, even if it's just a little bit, because usually that's the turning point for the female. And they're like, wait a minute, I'm jealous. Yeah. And that's when everything starts to unravel.
Yeah, but like Glyndon was jealous, but she could hold her own.
Yeah. Like, what was her name? Cherry or Sherry?
Cherry, I think.
It was Cherry.
I need to go to the bathroom. I've been really holding it. Hold
okay.
On. Sorry about that. Like, no. So with that other one, I'm like, she gets insecure, but then she's like, but he only does all these things to me or for me, kind of thing. Like it will reel her back in, but like she has to literally think it first before that. And I mean, even like when Sherry, whatever her fucking name is, like would taunt her, she's probably like, whatever. Go for it. You can have him. This is at that point when she was like, she would get tired of being suffocated by him because like he's always there, even at their school. Like, you're not supposed to be here. Why the fuck are you here? Like, it's like, Jesus, like, take him away from me for a little bit.
But it's like when she tries to taunt him and she's like, oh, why don't you go fuck Cherry? And he's like, is that what you want? And I'm like, oh shit, he'll do it.
Oh, yeah, because he would, too. Just to, like, because he doesn't have that where, like, if you think about, like, Jeremy, like, he will taunt it, but he wouldn't actually do it. Like, he will threaten, but, like, he won't. Yeah. And also, it's like, how, like, because you know how, like, she would kind of get insecure about, like, all his experiences because he tried everything.
Right.
But I like it when they were like talking and he was just like, it was just an experiment. It was just like, you either that or kill somebody. That's the only reason I was doing it. And then at some point I got bored.
Yeah.
It lost its appeal. Because he was like, oh yeah, I wasn't going to discriminate. I don't care. Girl, boy, like whatever. But then I got bored. So I found something else.
Yeah, he was an odd one, that one.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, I didn't have feelings for them. I was just trying to like get like, like my impulses like in check. But then I get bored. So I find something else. Like just to see if I could do it. Like that's his thing. And then like remember when she started asking, it's like, why do you take pictures?
Yeah.
And he's like answers like, I was just trying to figure out, like, I just want to like commemorate like the stuff that I do. It's like, what?
Yeah, and I appreciate that about him, that it's almost like he doesn't have the ability to lie.
Right.
It's just,
Yeah, he never lied. Like,
no.
like if you ask
Take it
him,
or
he will
leave it.
like he would straight up answer you. I mean, like sometimes he'll be like, once he finally kind of figured out Glenn, like, okay, do I tell her full on? Like,
Doesn't he
we're
ask her, like, do you want me to tell you the truth?
yeah, like, do you want like the whole truth or just like kind of like watered down version?
Yeah.
So you don't run away. And then Glenn kind of like figured it out. It's like there's no middle ground.
No, there's
for
no
him.
softening the blow.
Good now. And that's when she was just like, just do it, like just say it, like What did you think about the initiation?
That was brutal. Like, I've read other books with initiations like that. That seemed for a while to be like a running theme. But it was kind of funny in a sense. The other people getting their asses.
Right. Well, and none of them like didn't even bat an eye. Like, so what was it?
I want to know who White Mask is.
Oh, Killian was the one who had the bat, right? Or was that Jeremy?
No, Killian had the bat.
Because Jeremy had the golf club, right?
Yes.
Because then Caden had the arrow.
And Nico had nothing but his fists.
This is like him. Like, just
and White Mask had chains.
Yeah. You still haven't figured out who White Mask is?
No.
They already hinted it.
No, they just said don't worry about it.
And Jeremy's kind of hinted because Cecily asked.
And they
So
said,
you
don't
met
worry
this
about it.
character when he was younger, when he was a kid. You read his parents. He doesn't attend the school, though. I would say that. He doesn't attend the school.
Okay.
But anyway, it's like, like with Killian, he was just like, swing the bat. Nobody, like he was just like hanging around the park, like swinging the bat, like nobody's business.
I know.
And like Glenn was just like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
I'm dead.
Literally, like I'm gonna fucking die when he finds me.
But you know what's interesting? And this kind of talks about God of Wrath also. They were both there at the same time, Cecily and Glyndon, but didn't know.
No, they didn't know.
How crazy is that? I thought about that. I'm like, well, one's running over here and one's got to be running over here.
Cecily kind of like, it wasn't her invitation.
Right. It was Creighton's.
Yeah. Somebody else was there too, from Glenn and Cecily's side. Another one was there.
I know it wasn't Ava.
No. Ava was just, I think Ava's like, what? I wasn't invited. Like, she always like say like, why was I not invited? Like, girl, what is wrong with you? Them two were like scared for their life, and you're just like, let's go do it.
I know. Yeah.
Like, they get so jealous. And then like,
I thought about that. I was like, oh my God.
And then he who shall be not named, like, they all get scared. And she was like, oh, who cares about him? But as soon as he's around, it's like, oh shit. Like,
I bet you it was Remy. No? Okay, I'll leave it alone.
Remy's funny.
I know, that's why I thought maybe it was him. He can't stand to be left out.
I wish he had his own book, but I already know it will pop up in Eli and Ava's story, who he ends up with.
I like Remy, and I liked his dad. I did not care for as much. I still like the book, but him and what was her name?
Cool.
The dad, the mom,
Ronan and Teal.
Teal, that was it. It wasn't my favorite book.
Yeah, he wasn't your favorite. I actually found them funny, and literally,
he was always funny to me.
Remy is Ronan 2.0.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's why I like him.
Like, personality, his man whore. And he was just like, I'm spreading the love, like, and everybody looks at him like, you're not, no. And he talks about himself in the third person. It's just like funny because every one of them were so mean to him, and he still keeps coming back. Or like, he'll be like, why am I not invited to all this shit? Like,
And that's how Ronan was.
right, like he has like FOMO
I
on
know.
everything.
That's
And
why I
then,
thought it was him. You were going
yeah.
to say it was him at the
And
initiation
then,
because he doesn't like to miss out.
yeah, and then especially with when Creighton's like, I don't fucking care, like, because he's like his spawn or whatever. And I was like, Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, remember when like Creighton's like, oh, I never had BJ or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like and then Remy's like, what the fuck? Like, how am I not, like, am I not teaching him anything? He's
No,
like, and he was just
I'm
like,
failing you.
yeah. And Creighton's like, oh, I just didn't care for it. Like, it's not like I'm curious about.
Yeah.
And then walks off the conversation, like, and Remy just like,
Can't handle it. Yeah.
I know. He's funny. His lordship, that's what he calls himself. Like, oh my god, because he's an aristocrat.
He's ridiculous.
Oh.
I love him.
I do. I think it's like he's that breakup from all the heaviness. Like as soon as he enters, whether it's in a group chat or like in an actual scene, it makes it lighthearted.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's always after like the heavy portion and stuff like that. But I love his character. The FMC for him is perfect.
All right.
Like,
Well, we'll get there.
yeah,
I'll
you'll
figure
get
it out.
there.
I'll get there. Now, I know that we touched on it early on, and we've kind of talked about it here and there, but I think we're both on the same side. I don't know if that's the right word, but we both agree that it's almost imperative to read the first generation. I think you get a better appreciation for the second gen.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And go by. I think we both went by the suggested reading order. And anytime I was confused, I touch base with you. I'm like, is this the next one? This is the next one, right?
Because when you do read the suggested reading order, half of the events kind of continue with the books, whether even though majority of them are like standalones, except for the duets or the trilogies, but like the couple's story is a standalone. But then they'll mention stuff that happens from the previous book, or like Rai and Kyle, Adrian and Leah, and then Kirill and Sasha's story. Some of their timeline intersects with each other. Like,
right.
So
yeah.
Like if you just jump in the middle of those, you're like, wait, what are we talking about? Like what happened? Like what happened? Like so it's more or less like just read it. Because some of them intersect. And then it does affect the second generation. Like perfect example, God of Ruin. I mean, not God of Ruin, God of Pain, Creighton and Annika. It's kind of connected to, sort of. Like there's a connection.
Yeah. And then God of Wrath takes place within that time frame also. Mm-hmm. So you get everybody's perspective over certain took place.
Yeah, you can't, like if you are, because I know some people were just like, oh, I'm just going to start on God of Fury because it was trending for a little bit. And then people are like, wait, I don't understand. And I was like, well, even though it's a standalone for their love story, the timeline they're all the same. The only one that's not in the same timeline was God of War.
Okay.
It was outside. They're all graduated. They're all adults.
And I would have been pissed if I read God of Wrath first and not God of Pain, because, is that the right one? Creighton stories, God of Pain, right?
Yeah,
that would have annoyed me because then it would have told me what happened to him. And that I would have been like, oh, frig.
Yeah. Well, the same thing. Well, like with God of Fury, it's the same timeline as all of the other ones. Like some of the stuff's like, oh, the reason why, like there's certain portion in God of Malice where like Bran, they're like asking, what's wrong with you? Like he's almost just kind of like staring off and stuff. Okay, when you read God of Fury, it will explain to you what was happening.
Yeah. So
they all kind of coincide, and like, even though like they says, oh, you can read them standalone, it's better. Like you wouldn't be like, what are they talking about? Like, what's happening? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, yeah. And that's like a teacher who tells you, I recommend you do the extra work because for the test tomorrow. In other words, it says do the test. So we're telling you, read the books in order.
right. Yeah. Yeah. I would say it's just for better enjoyment.
Yeah.
And then you can also, like, when they do have the parents' point of view, you will understand why they are the way they are. I mean, it's still enjoyable, I guess, if you don't really like, because I think people are intimidated because there's like 30 books before you get to.
I know. I
It's
was.
like, oh no, like 32 books before you get to this, like 30 or 32 books before you get to the Legacy of Gods. That's a lot. But I would say, though, they were quicker because they were like shorter.
That's true.
At that time, like the time back when a book was less than 300 pages.
Now it's 800.
Because remember we were
600.
talking about like Legacy of Gods, like it's like 400. It's like double the pages of the parent.
I know. I'm looking to see because this is the next one. God of Ruin. I have to read next.
God of Ruin is not.
We're going about 402. 402
So yeah, that's a
pages
little
from
shorter.
physical. Yeah,
But they're
So-
also fast paced. Like
they are.
God of Ruin is a little bit fast paced than the other ones because Landon wasn't as much in the heat and thing. He's doing his own thing. Unlike God of Malice and Wrath, there's the Heathens portion. So that's
Yeah.
like a little thicker, but God of Pain, yes, there's like hints of the Heathens, but because Lan is doing his own thing, his chaotic self. I love Lan.
All right. Well, I'll get back to you on that one.
I can't wait for you to like see when he meets Mia.
Get
Oh
to
my
that.
God, Kyle is like, well, Kyle is British, remember?
Right,
warm.
and he's pretty funny.
He's funny, but he's like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. I'm like an
Yeah.
assassin.
I
Like,
mean it. Yeah.
right. But while he was in there, I think I loved him more in God of Fury because of his relationship with Nikolai.
Okay.
And the fact that he was just like, do whatever you want, Nico, like at a young age. Like he would like still kind of like restrain him, but not really like whatever. He's gonna do whatever he wants.
Right.
Nico's always half naked somewhere.
That's okay.
And he's always sleeping at the most uncomfortable place.
Okay. We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Well, the next topic, I think we touched on it for the other book. No. Did we talk? I feel
I
like
think
we
we
talked
talked about it together.
Oh, sorry. Whoopsies.
Yeah.
So the fact that people recommend any of Rina Kent's books as a beginner dark romance is
Right.
silly. That's
Well,
insane.
especially like majority of the people read ebooks. So ebook did not take out first 2 chapters. It's still there. That's not fucking beginners. You're really diving
No.
into the deep. So like one day it's like, oh, you want to dip your toes in dark romance? Oh, start with God of Malice with
Definitely
Rina
not.
Kent. Like, have you lost your fucking mind? Like,
That'll scare somebody off.
right. Like, I'm sorry. Do not. I mean, I think like if you're gonna recommend any Rina Kent's book that's not super dark, the Empire series. Like that's like the lightest out of all of them series.
Not
I
Knox's
feel like-
book.
Huh?
Not
Not
Knox's book.
Knox, but oh my gosh, what was it? Sebastian's ankle. Nathan. It wasn't your favorite. So Nathan and Shaw's Kingsley's daughter.
Right. Yes.
That-
Okay. Okay.
that
That
was
one.
dark.
Yes.
It's like if you're gonna if you're gonna foray into like Renakin and you don't want super dark, start with the
And
Empire.
definitely not Sebastian's. Don't do that one.
Oh no, like Sebastian's like what? I have like a love-hate relationship between that time jump of 7 years, but I'm okay. Like, so we can only like prolong it. So like, has to be like something that's gotta happen, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah,
Agreed.
like I don't think God of Malice is, even if I think even if you remove the first 2 chapters, it's still dark.
Yeah, you're going to have to work yourself up to it. And once you do, if that's even your thing, then you'll appreciate it more. Either that or go pitch black dark, read that. This way you've already set the stage and you're like, oh, this is good. Yeah, this is light.
But I like, so even like when they say it's like, oh, start with the Lord series by Chantal.
No, that's not a series you start with.
Nothing about that is light.
No, actually, I take it back. Don't work yourself up. Go read 24690 by A.A. Dark. If you can get through that, you're good. You're golden.
I was like, I mean, I think, well, I mean, I did start dark, but not like super dark, but like dark. And then I progressively got darker, and then now I'm just like, I don't even know what dark is. Like,
no, I know,
but like
we know enough to know this is not where you start,
right? Like, I'm always surprised when people are like, oh, you want to dip your toes in dark romance? Do Hunting Adeline, do The Ritual, I'm like,
no,
dude, at least give Sabotage by Chantal before you like go straight to the Lord series. Huh?
Yeah. No, I mean, not everyone is the same. Like, no.
Chantal's Sabotage is like, it's more of like the step siblings.
Yeah,
but
it was.
But even that one,
not
even
as
that
dark
one,
for sure. Yeah,
it's not as dark. But even that one, like chapter 1, the table fucking scene. Like, we went straight to that shit too. Like, but it was like because it was like a thin. I think it's like it's a taste because they weren't for Tyson. But I'm just like, don't be telling The Ritual like if he wants to fucking lie.
No.
But I mean, I'm also like not the correct person to ask about dark romance. Like, maybe Mafia. Mafia's not.
That's a good start. Yeah, as long as
they're dark, but they're more like emotional, like the mental health trauma. Those are more instead of like bully type thing. I wouldn't suggest any bully romance as a beginning.
That's like my neighbor who asked me for a book rec. I'm like, shit.
Yeah, maybe
I don't know.
Start with Mafia, and if you can get past like those
the killing
and like the emotional trauma, then you can go to like Rina and stuff. Yeah, because so even though Rina has like Mafia, her Mafia are fucking dark. Dark. They're not like light. So if you are going to foray in dark romance, maybe like start with the like Mafia, because it at least gives you a hint. Like, okay, there's killing, there's all this stuff. It's not as bullyish, but before you say The Ritual or Hunting Adeline or God of or any Rina Ken's book, it's like
you have a person who just got done reading L. Kennedy, and they're like, oh no, I'm going to go right to Carnage or the Ritual or.
Well, actually, sure. If you want to do like Rina Ken, like you can start at Carnage because not Rina Ken, Chantal. Like Carnage is like lighthearted, then
it's not lighthearted, but it's not as bad. I liked Carnage.
First of all, if you've read The Sinner, that's the threshold for. I feel like that's the threshold for the Lord.
Like you need to read the one that A.A. Dark book.
Yeah, I have that on my Kindle right now. Like I have it downloaded that to whatever the numbers.
Yes. That'll do it.
Yeah.
Like
Beginner's Dark, definitely none. Like said, the Empire series, book 1 is the lightest. Well, maybe book 3, like Daniel and Nicole's story. It's not your favorite. No, I think it's nobody's favorite. Nicole and Daniel's story.
Who?
Daniel Sterling, Astrid's best friend and Astrid's stepsister, Nicole.
See, that's...
Yeah. So, like, theirs is not... Like, there was, like, an enemies to lovers...
That's fine.
Hint, but it wasn't, like, super dark. There's just, like, there's something in their past. That's it. So you can start with that. Then you'll have a bunch of questions about all the other side characters that they talk about in that book. Then you can go back.
Right.
But yeah, like, I would never say like Rina Ken is beginners at all. Even from the beginning. Like even Levi.
get
And
there, it's definitely enjoyable.
yeah. Like Levi and Astrid is a little bit, but that's still bully though. Because Levi was like, sure, he wasn't Aiden bad, but he wasn't like the nicest guy
No,
in the block either.
it's not too bad, that one, I don't think.
Yeah. It's definitely like, oh, okay, I know what I'm getting into with Rina. It's like you start there like, this is the expectation. And as she gets to those books, they get better. I mean, even Jonathan and Aurora's story, you would think like Jonathan is like older, and he's just like, I'm still an asshole. Like,
that was good too.
I was kind of nervous about reading his story because I was like, I didn't like you in Aiden and Levi's books. I didn't like him.
Yeah.
And then I read his story and it's like, oh, okay.
Right.
You kind of like, oh, okay. I felt bad for you, but when you read it from the perspective of the kids, it's like, you're an asshole.
Yeah, because they see things differently.
Yeah. But I do love him as a grandfather.
Oh, yeah.
Like, he spoils the shit out of all the grandkids, and also he likes to create chaos here and there too. And then the parents are like, he says, like, Dad, like, what are you doing? And then he just like lets them borrow his island, considering Aiden and Levi would try to borrow it, and he's like, nope.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The only way that they could borrow is like if they let them babysit the kids.
More so Glyndon.
Oh, well, so he's like, he definitely Glyndon's
his favorite.
The princess. He's his favorite. Everybody else is just like, fuck off. But then they go to Aurora, and Aurora's like, oh, come on. Like, I'm just like sad they didn't have their own kid like together, because Aurora,
I know, she was younger.
Was
I wondered about that too, but
like half his age or something.
Yeah.
So, but the kid, because it's by the time they met, the kids were already close to finishing college.
Right.
So. But anyway, this is not beginners. Just for everybody, just
the moral of the story is
this is not
beginners.
Beginner.
Now,
I don't agree with that statement. That
was a stupid statement. I'll say it.
I would say it too. I would be like,
You know what? I shouldn't say that, because I take it back. I apologize, because it's subjective. What one person feels isn't going to be what the other one does. So maybe to that person, it did feel light.
I mean, I guess I would say it feels lighter after reading Lola King's North Shore series.
Okay,
these are light. Yeah. I would say that now. Like, these are fucking light.
But if you're building up,
if you're
just read the triggers. That's all.
If you like you said, if you just read Elle Kennedy and then it's like, oh, I want to like dip my toes in dark romance, I would not suggest Rina Ken, H.D. Carlton, or Chantel.
Right.
Them three are always like, I would always see them, especially when it's like men that's writing the coattails of book talk. Be like, oh, what's your suggestion? All of a sudden, you'll see, do Hunting Adeline, and I'm like, what?
See, like, I read that pretty early on in my dark romance stage. The difference is I was like, wow. Now, that wasn't my favorite series. It was, middle of the road for me, but it made me want, okay, what else is out there that's like this or darker? And just kept pushing the boundaries.
Yeah, like, so I read a lot of bully romance. So I wasn't like based, like, like Sick Boys by Lucy Smoke. That's full on bully. Like, reading that series, I was just like, okay.
I still have to read.
Then once you start reading other ones, I was like,
yeah, it's true.
It's more like, okay, like, it's, so I'm not the best person to ask.
Yeah.
what I would recommend as a starter because I don't know. Like I don't read
You make
triggers.
some good recommendations. I mean, maybe
Yeah, but
you could go into some mafia and see where that goes.
Yeah, but
So
I will
that's
also
good.
say, like, I don't read trigger warnings because, like, sometimes
Yeah.
we'll be like, "Oh, what's a trigger warning?" I don't know. You read it on your own. Like, they're always in the front of the book,
Or on the website.
or in the
Yeah.
website. But
Yeah.
I can never tell you like what they are because I skip that shit.
It's
Like,
normal reading.
I would read it before, like, if I'm doing an arc review or like I'm signing up for an arc. They're always there, especially for like dark
Mm-hmm.
ones. Like with Bryn Weaver, like said, like I art for B&B. I didn't like really read the trigger warnings. I didn't want to read it because I was just like, no, I already know how she writes. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that thing where it says accidental cannibalism, and I was like, what does it mean? Like, so I knew that was gonna happen, but I was just like not even like actively looking for it. I was waiting for it to happen. And then I was like, oh, it even took a while to click for me that was that one. Until it was like,
too late.
Until basically Sloan like said something like, you fucking ate somebody. Like,
yeah.
oh, okay. Like, there's that. Like, oh, okay. But I wasn't like actively looking for it. Like, yeah, so. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I would think Mafia would be like a starter.
Yeah, that's a good start from, other influencers and see what they recommend. If you know that your style jives with them, then that's a good space to go to. So
Motorcycle Club Romance, because sometimes those
some,
are like I mean, they're more
A.L.
emotional.
Jackson, I would say,
emotional.
Yeah,
I don't
but there are
think
some that it's like downright dark, and
so I wouldn't say I wouldn't say like if you're doing like if you're gonna read Motorcycle Club Romance, I wouldn't right off the bat start with L.M. Terry. L.M. Terry is like,
yeah,
it's it's that dark. Like it is more darker than the usual motorcycle romance.
Yeah,
this majority of them is like more like violence because it's a club. It's like if you've watched Sons of Anarchy, kind of that's kind of like what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
it's more violence.
Saviano, Jennifer, hers is on the lighter side of the motorcycle romance. I read that, it was good, and it was more angsty. So that or A.L. Jackson, but yeah, there's, like I said, follow some of the influencers. You go to Marjorie for your Mafia Rex, and I'm more of all over the place. So
palette cleansers are your thing.
Oh, I love
let's
those.
just do
Give
that.
me a good palette cleanser. Carolina Cox will do it for you.
Although you have to like say
that COX.
That your palette cleansers are not for everybody because they're more taboo.
No, Carolina Cox isn't. She's just pure smut. It's just like a refresh. So.
Oh, okay. Without like saying the author on this one, what do you think about that one I sent you earlier? Like the whole series. Remember that whole series?
We'll talk about that.
But yeah.
So let's get into the last topic of what's for the month of February's episodes. What kind of goodies do we have coming up?
So this one is the first episode this month, like month of February. One of my favorite authors is coming up. So,
and if you guys miss it, you can always just download it, but you definitely don't want to miss this one. This is good.
You should definitely watch out for like our social media posts because
a lot of information in this episode.
And also, like said, it's one of my favorite. Her book is coming out this month. That's why, like, I was happy. I was just like every time that email comes in, I'm like getting distracted with work, and then I would like not be able to work for like 2 hours and be like, oh, what am I gonna do now?
Yeah. Well, here's a hint.
Oh no, we're not hinting.
Come on, just
we're gonna edge them. Wait, okay, so it's after episode. It's next episode. It's the next episode that's gonna release, and then we have
Just remember who the nice one is.
What? You're the nice one.
Marjorie's mean.
I've never said that I'm nice. It's always, people always say, it's like, but you're not, like, no, I never said that.
No, I'm nicer. And that's not
I'm
saying that much.
civil. I'm not outright mean.
All
But
right,
I also
so-
don't like have the patience to like change
No.
my personality to fit
What else
your.
do we have? Oh, we have another book review.
Yeah, we have another book that we're reviewing, and
I
then
tell you, but I'm not allowed.
yeah, you're not allowed to say anything. None of our
We
authors
have
that
two
are
authors and two book reviews.
yes. Well, I mean
So
the
that's-
author for the February book club, everybody already knows it's Alina May.
Yes, so that's going to be another.
If you
good
don't, then you missed out on the book box, the special edition.
So that's
So, yeah,
what we
that.
got going on. That's good.
That's
Good
February.
stuff. The February is a good month.
February is a great month. We have other authors that are coming up that are like amazing too throughout
Can't
the
tell you.
year.
Now
You
let's
just
tell
need
you.
to.
If you want to slide into the DMs, maybe I'll give you a hint.
Don't be hinting anybody. Like no.
Well, this brings us into a good segue of this is the end of the episode, and follow us on our socials. This will give you all the information you need with regard to new upcoming episodes. You can also recommend authors that you would like to see, whether it be in a podcast interview, or even if you have a recommendation for the book club box, we can definitely consider that. So it's Unfiltered Romance Nights on Instagram, TikTok, and I think
Thread,
that's it.
YouTube.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's it. See you next time.
Bye.